Hi there, today I'm with Louay, and he is the founder and owner of henlo. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's henlo, yeah.
So henlo, we've already met and we've talked already for the last 20 minutes, which wasn't on camera, so you guys would have known that. henlo is a dog-centered app in the sense of finding house sitters, walkers, and selling some food as well,
yeah,
right?
So henlo is basically the kingdom's first network of on-demand pet services. So what we do is that we provide on-demand dog walks, pet sitting, veterinary bookings, grooming bookings, and pet food as well on our website. And it's for pets in general, not just dogs.
So because the way you describe it to me, that almost seems like the app is like a service business for everything that you might need for your pet.
Right, so we call it the super app for pets.
Okay. That's super interesting because I think that's how most apps are heading that direction now.
Correct, yeah.
Where they're becoming like a
all-in-one
marketplace.
solution, basically.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so I thought I was going to be cool and smart and make it mean something, right? And I became part of an accelerator, Flat 6 Labs here in Bahrain. And they asked me, they're like, what's Agate? I'm like, it's the app name. And they're like, yeah, you need something more, something
user-friendly.
You could link to it. And so I was at home. I spent like 5 days, or probably a week with my wife. And I just kept talking to her. I'm like, I can't come up with a name. But what's funny is that the way we greet each other is henlo, right? So henlo is dog lingo for hello. And because of our dogs, right? And then we just stopped and thought, we're like, what if we call it henlo? And that's how it came.
How frustrated were you where you couldn't get the domain henlo? Because the website is Get Henlo.
Yeah, you noticed that, hey?
I mean, come on, everyone notices that the moment they look it up.
I was pretty annoyed, but the thing is that I had other options as well, but I was just I just
you
felt
love that name.
This was perfect, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make this work. And you see other apps and other companies, put a .io or .whatever. And I just thought, I'm just going to go for it. And it's the brand that makes it stand out.
I'm surprised. What made you be so focused around being in Bahrain centered?
So Bahrain is I work here and
Sure.
I live here. So it was a great opportunity to test it out in the market, right? So Bahrain creates an amazing testing field to launch an app, test it, see your issues, and fix according to that. And then as soon as you feel like the app's in that right place to start expanding, go for it.
Okay.
So that's why I started with Bahrain.
And so how many active users are we talking about?
So we've got 1,700 pet owners on our app, and
Okay.
we've got around 250 carers on our app.
Okay. And how's that process? How did that start? Did it snowball effect? Did you just get like a whole bunch the first week and then it slowed down, or?
Yeah, so obviously funding is a huge issue we'll get to in a minute. But when I first launched, it was all just a knock-on effect, right? It was just sign up after sign up after sign up. But I had to create the carer app first and make sure I launched that first. I can create the supply before I create the demand, right? And so I launched that. I think it was like around 10 carers initially, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna risk it, and I launched the pet owner app right after, and that just started building, and word of mouth going around. I remember, I think I sponsored my first ad. It was a $10 ad or something for a week. And the signups I got was insane. Like I was up all night just trying to, because I had to I'm manually verifying all my carers, right? And because all my carers go through background checks, verification checks before I can.
I was about to ask that,
Yeah. So what we do is that we make sure everyone who signs up, we do a background check on them, we verify them. They upload their CPR documents as well to make sure that we've got the right people on board. And then they're ready to get paid to be around pets, which is super cool. And
what is mostly the ethnicity around the carer?
Locals.
Locals,
a lot
yeah?
of locals, yeah.
Really?
Which is amazing. I did not expect that. I mean, when I first launched, I thought it was going to be mainly expats.
Sure.
But I was surprised. I was completely surprised. I'm like, whoa, this is a lot. And when I talk to people about it, they're like, like your reaction. You're like, really? Yeah, really. Most of our pet owners are locals as well. So it just shows you that, the market is ready for that.
No, I mean, when I first heard of your app, the first thought that was going through my mind is that being in the Middle Eastern country, there's a lot of already retention staff in the household, right? Like
100%.
maid or cleaner or any kind of position like that. So I always imagined as a dog walking business, it wouldn't see that much fulfillment or potential just because there's so many already staff working in the household. They'll just be like, hey,
100%.
take the dog for a walk or whatever. But the more I thought about it, I was like, well, there are a lot of expats who are living here. There's few and fewer people that have full-time staff living at home. So there might be actually a market for it. And clearly, I was 17 on.
Yeah. It's amazing. You know, you see the number of locals, which came to my shock as well. You know, I was pretty surprised. But the thing is that we actually spoil people as well. So picture this. You know, you're having your dog walked. You can track the dog walk on your app, right?
Okay.
Your dog peed or pooed, right?
Okay.
You get a notification that, for example, Gucci just pooed. You know, it makes you feel like you're there, never missing a moment away from your pet.
Okay.
Someone else is just walking it. You know, you don't feel, because your dog's like your family member, right? You want to be there every moment, right? And that's it. You know,
that's a fascinating concept.
I'm making sure that you're with each other.
I mean, if my ex would have texted me saying Luther peed or pooped, I would have been like, "What are you doing?"
I don't know.
But if it's successful, it's successful,
it is,
right?
It
doesn't matter.
People love it. You know, you find like whenever someone just posts, you know, they're like, haha, you know, it's like their pet just peed or pooed, you know, and it's a feature that just gives that giggle at the same time, right? It makes you laugh. You want to make sure it's not just a serious app, right? It's a pet app, right? You want to make sure that it's a loving app. It's a family friendly app that just makes sure that you and your pet are together and you're constantly up to date with them.
Okay. I'm going to return to this issue because I'm so fascinated by your logo because it's, I don't know what the right word is. The color choice is very weird.
Yeah.
I don't mean like.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I mean, it you know, when I would think of like a dog walking app or anything like that, I would think of like white and black, you know, something that gives off luxury, maybe has a nice feel to it. Choosing aromatic pink,
I love it. I love it.
is yeah.
So I'll tell you how it came along. So do you want to know about the color first, or do you want to know about the logo?
I'm more interested actually in when you look at your web demographic, what are people searching for to end up with to that link? Because I have a feeling people are looking up for very different things, and they just see the word and they see the color and they go, oh.
Yeah. So let me start from the beginning.
Sure.
So the logo. So I came up with the name, right? My sister and my wife are both graphic designers.
Okay.
I just went to my sister first. I'm like, I need to do a logo for me, and she's like, okay, I'll do a logo for you. I'm like, I want it to be simple.
Okay.
And it's got to be pink.
Are you good? Do you have a good relationship with your sister?
I do. Okay. but when I told her that, she's like, look, we'll talk about the colors later. Let me just get the logo in place because they got to do some logo work first.
Okay.
Black and white before they choose a color. So and then my wife came along. I'm like, I want you in and on as well. Work together and try to see what you guys can do together.
Because it is very feminine.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So you were definitely voted out at 2 to 3.
Yes, but I still made it happen. So the idea is that, so I don't know if you know the app Lyft.
Yeah.
So when I saw Lyft, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
Just for the viewers.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That caught my eye.
Okay.
Because the idea was that I wanted to create the Uber, the Airbnb for pets, right?
Sure.
And so I was looking at Uber, I was looking at Careem, I was looking at Lyft, and Lyft is stuck in, that's the logo that just stuck with me.
But let's not forget like Lyft never wanted to be the number one road car sharing app on the planet. 100%. They always wanted to be number 2, right? And so their logo and design was as a counterbalance to Uber, right? But so that needs to be said, to be made aware of, right?
For sure. But to be honest, I feel like it's the brand that builds itself and takes it above. I mean, Lyft could be the first. They don't have to be the second. You know, they thought they were going to be, but you know, I mean, when I compare the two apps, when I'm user friendly. I mean, in my opinion, I get along with Lyft a lot more, although it's not here.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But yeah, so when I saw the color of Lyft, I'm like, you know what? That stuck with me, and it obviously did something to me to make me like the color. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Because and I just chose pink, and that's where it came from.
Because I'm not gonna lie, your logo and your icon design has fascinated me to no ends, and in fact even made me go down a whole rabbit hole. Because you're the only app other than Facebook that actually has something coming from its bounders at the bottom. Every other app I have seen so far, and I'm sure people out there are going to correct me, are shaped like a frame.
Right.
Where the outside is like a frame of the color, and then there's an inside, which is then its own thing.
Right.
You're the only app other than Facebook that looks like a straight thing.
So that's a paw, actually. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah,
of course,
it's a waving paw. So the idea is that it's a paw coming out, because obviously you can't show the face and everything else.
Sure.
Right? So I'm like, let's take advantage of our logo and kind of say henlo, which is hello, dog lingo for hello, and
a paw waving.
Yeah, with a waving paw.
Yeah,
with a heart in the middle.
Yeah.
Did you not see that?
I do. I saw it the first time I saw it.
Right.
It's just an odd choice.
Yeah, but hey, it stuck with you, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure it will stick with you because it's obviously.
Well, I'm also talking to you about it because clearly I found it interesting.
So that was the idea, is just to make sure I can get something that can, when someone looks at it, they're going to be like, that's different, and that's what I want. I want someone to be like, that's different. What is that, And then just people look at it and see it and.
So my first question now comes, and why the hell have you not outsourced the approval rate yet?
The
approval stage yet?
Right. So there's a lot happening right now behind the scenes, and we're working on getting that in place. So I want to automate everything because it was very manual, or is very manual, and there's a lot of things that I'm personally end up doing, whether it's verifying, whether it's dealing with anything, and I want to automate everything because I want to make sure the app takes care of itself. I want to be in the background just monitoring it to make sure everything works fine.
Well, you want to be a leader, right?
Right. And I want to focus on the actual company as well and taking it forward. So I have been looking into, and actually just today I just got off a call with a couple of companies that do those checks. So
why are you doing that? Don't do that. Go. Have you heard of Upwork?
Upwork, yeah.
Yeah, you can keep everything internal. You can pay someone $250 BD an hour. And you can just give them the assignment and just be like, hey, look, make sure that this, and this, like whatever the key metric is.
Right.
And then that's it.
I think I misunderstood your question. Can you repeat that again?
So Upwork is a platform where you can hire people.
I get that. But I'm saying your question about
for your approval process, instead of doing you yourself manually and looking the account that is sent the submission and the documentation that's received from that end, you can totally offload that to somebody. And then you can just verify that process later on, and you can just do one check every 100 or every 500 or whatever.
Right. So I care a lot about. I always put myself in the pet owner's shoe, right? I want to make sure that who their pet's with is they're with the right person, right? I want to make sure the checks that we're doing is the best that I could possibly do that will make me comfortable if I leave my pets with them as well.
Okay.
So yes, I could get someone else to do it. Alternatively, I could get a company that's focused on background checks, focused on verification checks, to make sure. So that's what I'll be comfortable with if it wasn't me doing it.
I totally hear you, brother. But I think my worry is that when you give it to some other company, you're trusting them to, one, handle the data correctly that is being submitted, and second, that they're also fulfilling their end of their deal. Where if you hire someone, you have total control of that process.
Right.
And so that would just be my 2 cents on the issue, my unsolicited advice, and it's going to be a lot cheaper for you, especially being still in your starting processes in doing that. And then sooner, as you grow and you'll hit 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers or user base, then you'll have actually these companies start messaging you instead of you having to do all the legwork.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that to happen. But yeah, I mean, it is a good idea. But again, it's just the way I'm doing it now is that, yes, I have a company that does it for me, but it's not the flow so it's a manual flow, right? Like I mentioned.
Exactly.
And the idea is to automate it. But if I get someone at Upwork or something to do that for me, it's still the same process. Yes, they're going to be doing it without me having to follow, but the verification checks does not come. We actually go through a blacklist check. We go for a global enforcement check as well. So we want to make sure that we go for a full-on background check, right? You can
tell them do this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
And the great thing about Upwork is that it actually takes screenshots. I mean, this is not a paid advertisement for Upwork, but they actually do screenshots of the employee who's working. So you can, so you can actually look if they're actually doing things properly. And
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't used it before, so
I'm telling you,
heard of it. Yeah.
It changed my life and my operations like nobody's business. It's really, really good.
Same thing as Fiverr, right?
Yeah, and they do cold callings and all kinds of stuff. I would say Fiverr is below Upwork just because Fiverr is project oriented, and so it's your guess is the best guess. But with Upwork, you actually have a chance to hire someone on an hourly basis. And the best thing about this is that you can hire someone for let's say that you wouldn't normally be able to afford.
Right.
Just because their hourly rate is so high. but you could hire them for a shorter period of hours. Again, this sounds like a fucking paid ad. like a shorter period of time. So if somebody's like, let's say 300 BD an hour, right? You would not be able to hire him for a month's salary.
No.
But you can hire him for like 3 hours a week, which could be fit perfectly for your niche.
No, 100%. I mean,
like SEOs and stuff like that.
I'll take a look at it.
You should. You definitely should. It really changed my life using it. Again. Fucking hell. It's like a fucking ad. Okay, so how many people on staff do you have now? 2.
Right, so it's me. We've got Badur, who's our CMO, and we've got our developers that are based in Germany. So we've got 2 over there.
Okay, and what made you go with those developers in Germany?
You ready for a story?
Let's hear it.
Story time. So when I first started the app, we're going to go back to the start, to the beginning. And when I first started, I'm like, if I need the cheapest way to have an app developed, right? I need the cheapest way to start an app. I need to get an app. I had no idea what I was doing, right? They're like, okay, fine. What language do you want? Do you want an iOS? Do you want an Android? Do you want it cross-platform? I'm like, the fuck is all that? You know, I had no idea. And so they go, I'm like, how much is this? How much is that? So like cross-platform was, I think it was $10,000 at the time, more expensive than going native iOS. So native iOS means, you know, just
Apple.
Yeah, so it's in their coding language.
Swift, yeah.
So it was $10,000 more expensive, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have $10,000. I mean, I'm going to family members for money just so I can get, I can raise enough cash just to get this started. So I'm like, you know what? I've got an iPhone. Fuck it, I'm going to do an iPhone. I didn't even think. I'm like, are there more Android users or not? I did not go through the process. I had no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
So I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do that. Okay. And I went with iOS.
You like to shoot from the hip a lot.
I do. So if there's something I want to do, I'll just do it and then deal with whatever happens later.
Okay.
Just get it started, basically. So I started it, and I reached out to. I think I spent a month looking for developers, and obviously everyone was telling me to go to India because that's where you can get the cheapest app done and get it done as quickly as you want. So I'm like, perfect.
Okay.
So reached out to a few. A lot of conversations, a lot of bargaining. I'm like, drop $1,000, drop $2,000, until one guy was like, listen, Louay, that's all we can do, and they seem the most legit to me. Right, so I'm like, you know what? I'm a project manager. I've dealt with consultants before. I can fucking do this. So went in. They started working. They had I think it was a 3 or 4 month program. Took them 1.5 years to get done. And so remember how I told you how I launched the Care app first, and then I followed on with the pet owner. So I launched the Care app first, and I'm like, let's just test the app one more time before I launch the pet owner app. Tested it. Guess what? They pulled out the piece of code that makes the 2 apps communicate together. And they're like, oh, you want to make it? We'll put it back. We'll fix it for you, but pay us. I just finished the contract, right? I'm like, fuck, I don't have money. I'm done. I can't afford it. And
here lies the bigger question. How did you find these people?
Just a bunch of Google search.
Oh God. Okay.
Right. I did a lot of Google searches.
Okay.
And I did whatever I can to find reviews on everyone. I had long calls with them. They felt legit.
Okay.
I mean, we did get the app out there-ish, right?
Okay.
And then I was screwed, right? I needed money. I needed to launch the app. So I went and I retracted the Care app from the App Store. I'm like, fuck it, I can't keep that up there. Although I had my first initial signups. So that was when we were called A-Gate.
Okay.
And that was part of the trigger that made me rebrand everything, because I already launched with it with something that just completely failed, right? Pulled it out. I'm like, you know what? Then Dina came to me and she's like, one of her friends is part of Flat Six Labs and she highly recommends that you apply. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking get into Flat Six Labs. Why the fuck would they, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do it. It was a massive, massive form. I think I did it in 2 hours with least care possible. Sorry, Flat Six.
How many pages are we talking about, by the way? You can't say massive, massive form and then be like, it's 3 pages.
It was like, because the thing is that they're asking for your full business plan.
Okay.
Right?
And you didn't have one, obviously.
I had nothing, right?
No core values, no aims, no objectives.
I just went for it, right?
Okay.
And so I'm bullshitting the entire way through. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do what I think in my head. I'm just going to write it out. So obviously a lot of people, I think, had everything more thought out when they were filling out the forms, And I'm just like, just go for it. Again, shoot from the hips, right? So I went for it, put everything I could. And I think it was like 2 days later, I got a call. I'm like, I would like to schedule an interview with you. I'm like, holy shit, okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, I got to buff myself up, right? I was at work, so I went to work. I'm like, I got a meeting. I gotta get out. So I headed over there, and I'm all suited up because of work and stuff. And I get there, so I get talking. And I'm like, you know what? I got to sell this to them. So I started, showing them the app, showing them how ready we are and where we are, on both apps, because the demo versions were communicating to each other, thankfully. So I showed them the demo versions of the app, and they saw, and they're like, you know what? This is pretty cool. Obviously, they dissed the branding at the time. They dissed the logo at the time, and
I'm sorry that I did the same thing.
You didn't diss it. You just showed me that it stuck with you. But yeah, so they did all that, and then I think it was a week later they called me. They're like, you're part of the boot camp. I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually getting somewhere. And so we had to do a pitch deck and pitch our ideas. Obviously, I had no idea what that was. We had learned it in a 5-day boot camp, but so this is all new to me. So I'm just picking up things as we go. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go for it. So I decided to go with something not fully complete. So when they saw me the first time, they're going to be judging me like, what the fuck is this, you know? And they did say that, what the fuck is this? And I used that in my hands. I went to call my wife, my sister, graphic designers. I'm like, let's start putting the information now in proper slides so that when I go back to them the next time for the final pitch, they see a huge change in such little time. And we did that. And they came to me, they're like, holy fuck, you know, that one hell of a pitch. And I'm like, thank you very much. You know, although I was shivering the entire time. And yeah, got the 32K. And that's the money I used to. So carrying on then.
Sure.
So my wife, I spoke to my wife. She's been helping me a lot in my app. I told her, like, do you know anyone that's worked with a developer that they know and they trust? And she's like, yeah, I do, but it's gonna be expensive. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I need to get this out. And she recommended her for her developers in Germany. That was during COVID time.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? I spoke to the guy. He seemed legit. I'm like, you know what? I've got more money now. Let's get the app rebranded, make sure that it's working properly, and get it out. And I got it out.
Okay, but I have like so many questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Because but maybe this is like hindsight 2020, right? But my first question would be, if I wanted to design an app and I've got some seed capital, first thing I'd do is go to California, right? And then start knocking on doors, looking around, building like a team, right? That would be like my first like thinking process.
Yeah.
Going on Google search and
that
asking,
was the initial stage. I had no idea about anything about startups. I had no idea. Like, I was blank. You know? It was my first time getting to the startup world, so I literally had no idea what I was doing. So that's why when I was starting, I'm like, you know, iOS app, I don't care. You know,
you're lucky because iOS is the bigger. More people purchase through iOS.
They do, yeah.
Bigger user base is on Android. I do agree.
Yeah.
But more value customers are on iOS.
It is. It's. But you'd be surprised by the number of Android users that I've got reaching out to me. They're like, Louay, you know, or henlo, you know, just when's the Android version? I'm like, I'm trying, guys. I swear, I'm trying, you know. But yeah, good things to come.
Just message back, being like, get an iPhone.
Yeah, that's one hell of an investment, right? But yeah. So, you know, there's a lot coming. There's a lot. I mean, you know, having done that, it was a big learning process, right? I learned so much, and when I launched, it gets funnier. So when I got the apps working, I launched them, right? You start to realize that the app does not function the way the users expected it to, obviously, because in your head you think something. So I want it to be the Uber of pets, right? And it turns out that I was thinking of it completely wrong. I was trying to reinvent the wheel, right? And don't reinvent the wheel, you know, just go with whatever's ready, right? And so after I launched, I got a lot of feedback, a lot of comments from people, you know, bookings not going through because of the way I designed it. So I realized that I got to go back a couple of steps and figure out how to make this work better, make sure, because I'm losing users here and I'm losing money. And I go back to the drawing board. I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking of this wrong. I'm thinking of the Uber for pets. It's actually the Airbnb for pets. You know, the way the booking flow goes.
Okay.
And took it from there and took it forward. And I swear it went up 80% in terms of bookings when we fixed that issue. And it's just crazy that you showed just a small change.
That's why you do A/B testing.
100%, yeah.
I'm still okay. I'm from what I've gathered so far is that instead of building like systems internally, you seem to really designate on wanting to offshore as much as possible from the structure, right? Find a company in Germany, let them manage it. You try to find a security company that handles that, and you try to give them to manage it, right? And so my concern is that in the long term, you're not going to have any hard assets internally, right?
No, because the development that I have, I make sure that all my code stays with me. I'm obviously the owner of the code. It all comes back to me. So whatever change happens, it's all through GitHub, right? So all of that comes back to me, and I have in my hand. So no, the app stays with me 100%. In terms of verifications, for example, I make sure that all our information is as confidential as possible, right? So it all comes to me, to henlo, and we trust the companies that we deal with. We've dealt with them. We put it through them. So when I come to you and say, yes, we're going to deal with a offshore company, yes, they're a legit company that multiple people have been using, major companies have been using, and it still goes through henlo. So it doesn't go directly to them, it skips us. No, it still goes through us. So we make sure that we still always have that information, and the user information always stays with us.
Oh, I'm not talking about it from a privacy perspective,
right?
Because the way I'm talking, the way I'm thinking it from a VC perspective, from a venture capitalist. If you would show up and be like, yo, you know what, I have this app and it's this great thing, and we're having I don't know what your X growth is per month, but whatever it may be, my concerns would obviously be being around of, hey, all these internal stuffs are being offshored by other companies, meaning that the value itself of the company isn't very high because these are duplicate processes, right? There's no reason in the world that henlo couldn't be made tomorrow and use that same duplicated process with those same suppliers. Do you get what I mean?
100%.
So that's what my VC brain is thinking, or consultant brain.
Oh no, completely. Like, if I pick up the phone and look at Uber right now, right?
Sure.
I can build another Uber.
Sure.
How many people have tried building another Uber?
Many.
And how many have failed? Many,
sure.
Many have failed, right? Because everyone thinks like, oh, they see a successful app, they're like, let's copy it, right? And but you have to look for the gaps, right? You got to find those gaps and then see how you can make it better. Okay, you can always, again, that's what the first thing that came to me is like, I've seen an issue, how am I going to make that better?
Sure.
Right? And then you try it. If it works, and then you start developing on that, right? So if I came today, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to develop Uber, I'm going to make an Uber, and I'm going to copy paste what Uber is doing. But yeah, if I copy paste what Uber is doing, I'm going to be light years away, but because they already have everything going ahead, moving forward.
Sure,
right? So I'm always going to be behind them. I'm never going to.
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's that's a total different topic. I'm saying that you want to build your internal structure, right? Because that way you have all the systems in control, and your value of your business is much higher, and so you can get much more easier capital from the VCs. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to go and duplicate Uber.
No, but you did say that because anyone can end up copying, right? I'm just trying to explain the part where yes, anyone can copy anything, but it's how you deal with your company, how you market it, how you grow your company, which is what shows the value in it. It's not just, oh, I'm going to copy it, so I'm going to be the same as them. Okay, maybe so that's that part.
Sure. Maybe it was my mistake of wrong words usage, and I was thinking it from a wrong avenue. I think the correct avenue of thinking about it is the valuation of the firm, right? And I think if you want to get the largest amount of VCs on board to keep the growth process open in new markets, be it in Saudi Arabia, be it in Dubai, whatever else, right? You're going to have the need the funding for both the marketing. You want to have the funding for the servers. You want to have a funding, I assume, to have some sort of team on hand for pro coders and stuff like that.
100%.
So these things will have to be resolved, and you have to think about it.
100%. That's all things I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to eventually have to do. I want to bring everything in-house. Don't get me wrong. I do want to bring everything in-house. I do want everything to be within henlo, right? But that all costs money, right? And you want to make sure that you're doing everything the cheapest way possible, but with the best service at the end. And then start working from there. Once you can, 100%. I'm trying to build it all started out with just me and my wife, right? I'm like, asking her for advice. What does she think? And asking friends, what do you guys think? And you start building a team, which I've already started doing, and I'm going to continue to do, so I can make sure that everything does remain in-house, which raises that value.
I totally agree. I mean, what I'm worried about, because I've done the same mistake, and a lot of times is burning dollars to save pennies. Right, and that you're cutting off your own finger because you're trying to save a little cash, right?
I get what you mean.
And in the long term, that's more detrimental, that mindset, than anything else. And it sucks, right? Because you do have to take risk, right?
100%. I mean, you got to take the risks, but I get what you mean, and I mean, I see where you're trying to get to, but it's just, I mean, there's some things that it is safer being done outside temporarily until you can bring it in. Checks, for example. I don't have the capacity to do the checks that they do. They do global enforcement checks where they start checking all over the globe. On that person's database. Do they have any? Are they on any blacklist? Or are they not? I don't have the time for that. And yes, I could hire someone to do that, but it's going to cost me like $1.50 to get them to do it, compared to actually hiring someone where I'm going to end up. I mean, who knows how many users I'm going to get signing up? For example, I might get this week. I might get 10. It's cheaper for me just to get them to do it.
Yeah, but you're also assuming that employee's only responsibility is to do only that checkup.
Right.
I mean, you could have that person do all kinds of stuff, right? And you're only spending $1. It's like I think a person you hire on Upwork is anywhere between 5 to 4. Again, this is not advertising for Upwork.
You really like Upwork, don't you?
I really fucking like Upwork. Trust me, because what the hardest thing I've found here, and you can attest to this, is finding good staff in Bahrain.
No.
For me, it's been a disaster.
I mean,
do you know how long it took to find our two boys here? Dan and Murray, it took fucking ages. I'm talking months.
You know, there's this thing that I keep that I think it was Gary Vee that said it. It's like,
Oh God.
yeah, I think what he said was hire fast, fire faster.
Yeah.
I think it was I might be
Sure.
wrong. But that's something that sticks with me. You know, it's like, I mean, that you want to find someone, you know, because what people do end up doing is that they hire someone, they wait a month, they wait 2 months, you know, they just like, look, if you see someone not doing well in the first week, move on. You know, you don't have the time. You do not have the time. You want to find that perfect person, because what people fail to realize is that you own the company, right? It's your company, it's your baby. No one will look at your company the same way you do. No one will treat the company the way you do.
That is Gary Vee speech. That is a copy and paste Gary Vee.
It's 100% true.
I know it because I remember even watching that clip that you're talking about, because he even said no one will work harder for your company than yourself, right? I remember specifically.
He says it a lot, by the way. He says it a lot, and that sticks to me. It stuck to me, right?
So you're Gary Vee fanboy.
I mean, I follow him on Instagram, but I mean, I barely use Instagram. But whenever I do, it's always his post first. I'm like, you know what? Let's just see. Because look, I agree. I completely agree. And the thing is, I don't just blindly agree to anything anyone says, right? I mean, I've tried employing a couple of people, and I get what they mean. I see where I failed as a CEO, right? I see where I failed in where I should have acted and how I should have acted. I see how, whether it's to nurture the people you hire, or whether the way you move them on because they're just not good fits for. I'm not a good fit for them, and they're not a good fit for me. For, you know, it's not just the way I feel. So it's I agree with that.
No, I mean, that last part, you were like, oh, I don't know where to go with that.
I mean,
no, I mean, for it's my experience is finding talented people here in Bahrain specifically has been almost disastrous. Forget about work ethic; that's its own animal. But like just. Okay, perfect example.
In terms of what? In terms of
perfect example. Yeah. So if you're shooting on FPS, frames per second, typical movie whatever is 24.
Okay.
Right. So when you ask what should your shutter speed be, the formula is ×2.
Okay.
So it should be 48. Right. But most cameras don't do 48; they do 50. So I put that question very simply, saying if your SPS we're shooting is 24.
During the interviews.
During the interview, how much should your shutter speed be? I post this on LinkedIn, I posted on Indeed, and I only replied to messages that answered that question. Correctly.
Yeah.
I think out of the 200 people or so that applied on those both platforms, only around 5 had the right answer, which is shocking because you could literally take that sentence, look it up on Google, and get that answer. This is not like technical secret stuff.
But you know when you're scrolling on LinkedIn or something, you know, you see a question, you feel like, you know, no one goes back to Google and just questions it, right? They just go straight ahead and just like, oh, I think this, and they just start typing it, right? They just type away.
Yeah, but
you don't realize that you're.
Yeah, but your assumption is that people actually attempted an answer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Some had just question marks. Others,
like, oh shit, what do I do here?
Others just like had left it blank. Others just got like totally wrong things in it.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? Plus, how easy is that question done?
Look at that. There you go.
See, and I'm telling you.
Is that the question you use before you hire someone?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because I mean, if you don't know what the shutter speed should be at a 24 FPS, then there's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
Right. Then you're in the wrong field. You're in the wrong industry.
Right.
Go back to sleep. Don't you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean.
I guess like if I was trying to hire a programmer, that would be the same as asking, you know, what's this language for iOS, right? And then we're writing C++.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like,
so it's like the ABCs to.
It's the basic.
I get what you mean. I mean, look. I mean, I get what you mean about developers is because I mean, I try to hire a few, many, because especially during the time where I was kind of screwed over, and I'm like, shit, what do I do here? And you know, you want to find someone that's when you want to hire someone, you want to find someone that's excited about the project, right? It's not just about can I do the work, yes or no. You want them to be excited at the same time. So, you know, if you come to someone, you're like, hey, can you do this? Like, yeah, I can do it, but I don't want to. And you're like, you know what? It's different than the fact that someone's coming, you know, they're excited, like they love pet care, they love that, they love this. You know, they just want to be part of it just because it's what it does, you know?
Sure. But you're not running a cult either.
No, you're not, but you want to make sure you want people to be excited about what they do, right? At the end of the day, you don't want them just to come in because they love to do that. That's it.
Sure.
You want to make sure they love. So, for example, I don't know.
You're being very Steve Jobsy right now. I just feel
like when you want someone to when I hire someone, it's like, Okay, fine. They love, for example, marketing, right? They love marketing and they love pets. And that, you want to make sure that they can merge those together. You want to make sure that that love for marketing and pets, they know how to use it together. But if you come in and they're like, yes, I love marketing, but for example, I don't like pets, then why the hell are you going to apply to the job? You know, I've had people apply, like someone came to me and they applied for everything and they're like, they applied, they're like, yes, I'm super excited about henlo. I'm like, do you know what henlo is? They're like, yes, it's a pet app. I'm like, yes. And you know, you work with pets. She's like, but I'm scared of pets. Scared of animals in general. I'm like, so what are you doing? You know, everything we're gonna do is deal with posting, you know, pet related info, you know, all pet details, and it just, you know. What
Okay,
I mean?
I get you.
So I get where you're coming from.
I'm not sure if
I get where you're coming from, but
I'm not sure how much I agree with you, but I get what you're saying.
you want to make sure that I mean, that's how I personally feel.
Sure.
I want to make sure that, you know, you love your job, yes, but you love that industry as well, because that's what's going to motivate the other, in my opinion.
It is really interesting where you're coming from, because I'm not sure if I would be as lockstep as you are, in the sense of like, listen, they have to be great marketing and they have to be great at loving pets or being a pet lover. I don't know because
it makes it so much harder, by the way. It makes it so much harder.
Exactly, because you're looking for two attributes rather than one, right?
Exactly.
And so in my head, I would be like, you know what? If they don't want to have a pet at home, it's not my fucking business.
I'm not telling them to have a pet. I'm just trying to say
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, but
I know where you're coming from.
But it's just, it makes that difference, I think. Because for example, you know, when I come to,
Go ahead.
I'm going to go back to when Badur came on board, and she saw the name henlo, right? She got it like that straight away. You know, I want to make sure that people who are, you know, they understand where I'm coming from when I'm working with pets, when I'm taking care, you know, what they need, what they require, you know. So for example, she has 2 dogs, right? And I knew straight away that, you know, she could tell that henlo, you know, she's got pets already. She loves marketing. Those all together was like, you know what? Yes, I'm willing to check this out and see where it goes, you know. And luckily, it's a perfect match. But I'm not saying it always ends up perfect, but it does help a lot for you and the company and for where you want to, you know, the whole process.
Okay.
If I may.
Okay. I mean, you seem like you kind of know where you want to go. It seems like you kind of have like a good imagination. Do you have your values locked and key? Do you have your mission statement already, or you're still a little?
Yeah, I mean, we want to change. We want to. henlo wants to revolutionize the way pet care is in the region. You know, we want to make sure that pets are given the best care possible.
If you don't mind me saying this,
yeah.
The first thing I would say that your website is missing is a blog.
Oh, can you scroll down?
Can you scroll down? Because I just saw Bahrain. That's up, down.
Down.
More.
All the way down to the footer.
Good on you.
Right on
Good. I see it. Can you click on it? How often do you post?
Not as often as I should.
Okay. Do you do backlinks?
Backlinks?
So what you should be doing, if you don't mind me saying, is if you're looking at an article that you're reading on some other website, right, and it has like a piece of information that is really like interesting for your market or segment,
right,
you can just copy and paste that piece of information, add it as a quotation, right, and then in the SEO you can link that text to that web page, and that's creating then a backlink, and so Google will see like, oh, this is relevant information.
Gotcha.
Because it's using trustworthy websites such as X, Y, and Z.
Gotcha.
And so it automatically will push your website up in the search results.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But yeah, that's the blog.
Remember, yeah. That's good. It's good. I mean, who's taking the pictures? Google Images?
A lot of it are stock images, and
okay.
I mean, you got to make. Yeah, these are all stock images.
Okay. Can you scroll down? Okay. I need to get like a mouse or something here.
Yeah, you should, right?
Yeah.
Make your life a lot easier.
Hell yeah. Danny will be replaced by a mouse.
I'm just surprised by what that OBJ is that's popping up.
Can you go all the way down? So why did you break it up by like areas like that?
So the idea was I was trying something out. I was trying to see what difference it would make if you know, you start showing more cities, and then I wanted to try it with Google's.
As A/B testing, you mean?
Yeah, I was trying to test it. So I wanted to see how Google would see it. So if someone just searched pet care in I don't know, in
Hamad
Town,
you know,
for example, would that help or not? And
it did, I imagine, at some stage.
It's helping out. It's helping out because when you show that, you know, that it's because what people would think when people first come to henlo, they always think we're a kennel. They always come like, oh, can we give you our pet on this date? I'm like, that education process of kind of telling them is like, guys, we're not a kennel, you know, we're really not a kennel. We're trying to connect, trying to make sure your pets are with people instead. That was a tough educational process where you're kind of educating them into kind of understanding that, hey, it's not a kennel, you know.
I'm surprised you didn't start and run a kennel, to be honest. I mean, if the market is there,
I don't believe in kennels, like I mentioned. You know,
you can get like nice kennels.
You could, and don't get me wrong, there are a couple of good kennels I've seen here, right? But
forget here. I mean, there's in London. There's like ones that are like hotels.
I mean, they call them hotels here as well. And
yeah.
But I will never leave my pet, and I mean, not never, but as long as I can.
Sure.
Avoid putting my pets in kennels because it's just.
Did you really think they're that bad? I mean, not the bad ones where they're like.
Because look, again, like I said, a lot of people think of their pets as members of the family, right? So putting your pet or your family member in a cage while you're gone, and they're only let out X amount of times a day, and you know they eat, drink, you know, probably shit as well in their cage. I guess they get cleaned as well. I know, but I'm not.
Okay, we're having very different images of what we're having.
100%, because again, like I say, I'm gonna always go back to the point where pets are family.
So the ones I'm thinking of is like in the UK, in London, they have ones that are like hotels. In the sense, it's like a theme park for dogs.
Right.
They have like these like houses, like little dog house that's like a suite almost, right? With like all kinds of toys and like treats and stuff. There's no gates. There's no locking the dog in.
Yep.
They're like in this like.
So all of them are together, just left on the loose.
Yeah. And so they play around, they sniff around, and they do whatever.
And they're being supervised from 8 to 6, for example.
And they have somebody who's like constantly with the dogs.
Even at midnight.
They have somebody who lives like in the facility.
Okay, yeah, in the facility. But you know, just think of it. You know, when you leave a pet unattended to two stranger pets, they don't know each other. You leave them unattended for.
No. They make like they before you can even like go. I mean, first, this is not cheap, right? That's number one.
That's not what?
It's not cheap. That's
I mean, even here they're not cheap. You know, they're not.
I think it's I want to say it's like 100 or 50 BD a night.
Oops. Did I mess this up?
No. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But yeah, so it's like between 150 BD at night, I think.
Jeez, 150 BD a night.
It's between 100 and 50 BD a night, somewhere between that margins, right? It's not cheap at any capacity.
Yeah.
But like they take your dog, they make sure that with a group of dogs that he doesn't have any issues. It's not like very aggressive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a whole process.
Right. I get that part, but I don't know. I just feel like. You know, I mean, even if it wasn't boarding, you know, whether it's walking or if it's, you know, you want your dog to be at home and you want someone to sit your pet at home, you know, I got a lot of requests, you know, like, we're not Louay, henlo. You know, we want people to stay at our place, you know, we'll let them stay at our place, just take care of our dog so they don't leave their environment because again, it stresses them out when they leave, right? It puts them in, you know, you're leaving for a month, you know, they're out of their area, they're out of the zone, all of that just puts them in the wrong place. So yeah, I mean, I want to make sure that the pet care is the best. I want to make sure that pets are getting the best care they possibly can, and so you know, think of it as the Gucci for pets, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go on a high item luxury brand, I think white and black logo would work a lot better.
You really don't like my logo, do you?
No, the color, dude. The color puts me off.
No, I like it. I think it's great.
How many people have tried to convince you like I have?
You're the first.
No way.
I swear.
I don't believe that for a second.
Swear.
I don't believe that for a second.
I swear.
You yourself just said that when you did the 360s thing, they talked about you and the logo and stuff like that.
Previous logo.
Oh, that was a previous logo. All right, you guys vote. Just write in the comments which of the two logos you like. And if you're an audio listener, then why are you an audio listener? Go on YouTube and you can actually see our reactions in our faces. And yeah, you can vote which one of the two are better, and we'll pass that message forward. Well, how did that whole how did that whole French thing work out for you?
Work out with me how? In terms of what?
Well, me and you are probably one of the few people who are mixed race to that extreme.
Yeah. So, goes back all the way to my grandparents.
What, they were mixed race as well?
No, so I was the first generation that was born 100% French, right? So,
okay.
So my grandparents, my grandpa, he's originally Syrian, right? And he left Syria because he wanted to create a better life, you know, better.
Like most immigrants, yeah.
Because you know, at the time it was like, you know, it was because again, we'll avoid getting into details, but when they moved, so he moved to France, right? And then he stayed there for a while, and then he got the nationality, right? And then.
And how did that process happen, by the way? That couldn't have been easy.
I have no idea, but I thank him 1,000 times now. You know, like,
okay.
I'm super grateful for that because, again, you see how difficult it is. For example, like, you know, I lived in Egypt for 10 years, and my friends would, be like, hey guys, let's go to Spain, for example. They're like, yeah, we got to apply for visas. I'm like, what? I never even thought of that, So it just shows you how much he made our lives easier in comparison to all that.
And why did you go from France to Egypt?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I was in Saudi.
You're
in Saudi, so I lived in Saudi I grew up in Tabuk.
Okay. So okay, we have to we'll have to unwrap this a little bit.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah, okay, so your grandfather moved to France. I'm assuming he had your mom or your dad or whoever's grandfather's side that was.
Yeah. So mom there.
Sure.
But mom was already born at the time. So when she moved there, she obviously he gave her the passport.
Okay.
And then so again, that's why I come out and say I'm the first generation of the that's fully French, because I was born French citizen. Like I don't have any other passports, right? And what was I going to say?
How did you then go to the Middle East? I mean, from France.
So I was born in the UK.
Okay.
So it gets worse. I was born in the UK. So I was born in Chester, and dad was working there at the time, and then he moved to Tabuk.
Okay.
So then mom.
But your dad is French.
Dad is Syrian as well.
Syrian as well. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Keeping it within the blood, I see.
Yeah. And so at the time they're like, so I think it was like you're born in the UK, you have the chance to choose my parents had the choice, not me, and they're like, you want to be English, you want kid to be English or French, right?
Yeah.
My parents are like 100% French, they didn't think twice. Then they moved to Saudi, moved to Tabuk, stayed there, and after that.
Are we talking French or Parisian?
No, French. I lived in I'm from a place called Annemasse.
Okay, so because Parisians are very different than the French of French.
Yeah, they're very different. So I live I'm right by the Swiss borders, by Geneva.
Okay.
So my life was basically in Geneva, and when I go to France, I go to Switzerland most of the time because I don't do much in France, and so from there Tabuk, Egypt. Funny enough, Bahrain.
Okay, yeah. But I get Tabuk. I get that.
Yeah.
Why Egypt though? Your dad moved for work?
So dad's family, my mom's family moved to France. Dad's family moved to Egypt.
Okay.
Right?
That doesn't explain why you went to Egypt though. That just explains that your dad's family is in Egypt.
So I'm going to get to that. But then, so dad wanted me to, he's like, because education back in Tabuk's tiny, right? And
okay.
They're like, yeah, you're not going to carry on your education here. We're going to move you. So they're like, it was a choice between France or Egypt, and then I guess dad won the battle. And he's like, he sent me to Egypt, and I finished off high school there.
What year were we talking about now? Sorry, these difficult questions.
I'm trying to remember when that was. So that was back in
early 2000s, I assume.
Yeah, early 2000s, 2003, 2004.
So you were there in Egypt with the whole Gaddafi thing, then I assume.
The whole Mubarak thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The revolution time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that must have been a whole own experience.
That was in 2011. That was in 2011.
If your mom didn't give shit to your dad because of that, then I mean, she missed an opportunity.
I was on literally the next. So I think I was there for 2 days.
Sure.
The third day I was out.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, why the fuck would you want to be in that situation?
To be honest.
You regret it now because you weren't. You're saying.
Hey.
You're regretting now because you weren't.
No, I don't regret. I thought because I made amazing friends there. I just met my now wife at the time, and then I felt like I was leaving everyone behind. So, you feel like you have to stick together. You're like a group. You're a team.
Sure.
I felt like I was abandoning them. Yeah, that's the word.
But you're not Egyptian.
I'm not. But you would get. I'm sure you'd get this. But when you make your early friends or in your early teens or something, they become your best friends, right? I think. Like I'm still super close with my friends since back then, and
I don't even remember their names.
Do you not really? No.
Gone.
No.
Don't remember my high school. Don't remember my university friends.
Really?
All gone.
Really?
Really?
Like uni, I get because I still stuck with my high school friends. But yeah, we're still super tight until today.
Because the person you are at high school is not the person you are at uni.
I mean, you can see that everyone's changed. So whenever I fly back to Egypt, I see them. They are different people.
Sure.
But it's always there. We'd stay up to on the streets till 4 a.m. Just sitting down chatting, doing the exact same thing we would do when we were teenagers.
That would give me like nightmare anxiety.
Amazing. It's amazing. I was there. I think it was back in. It was last year, and we got together. It was and a lot of the group were there at the time. They all flew back because everyone moved out, and we all got back, and it was it was just amazing. It was you went back years back, it was great. But yeah, where did I go? So let me carry on. The lovely story of my life. It was So I went to Egypt,
Sure.
high school,
Sure.
and then I applied for uni. So I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. So I was like, I applied for architecture, medicine, and business.
Okay.
Cool. I had no idea what I wanted. I'm like, you know what, whatever comes first, I'll get. First thing I got, guess what it was?
So since a child, basically, you were shooting from the hip.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Planning isn't forte. It's all about action. I get it.
Yeah, no, but you do plan, but you assess your risks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's the worst going to happen? I'm going to become a doctor. You know, what's the worst that's going to
Okay.
happen? And so the first thing I got into was med school, funny enough, and it was in Bahrain.
Okay.
No one of our families had ever been to Bahrain in their lives before, so we had no idea what it was, ever been here. Came to Bahrain, moved here, spent a year in med school,
Yeah.
said, fuck this shit, I'm out. Dropped out, and
Environment or course?
course was a hobby. I think it was more of a hobby. You know, I was always good in biology and stuff. You know, I'm like, yeah, I like this stuff. And when I did it, I'm like, I enjoyed reading. I'm like, understand, but holy shit, is it difficult?
Sorry. Because you
I
said on
enjoyed-
camera that you didn't enjoy reading.
Yes, I enjoyed reading about biology, right? Medicine.
Okay.
I enjoyed because you're learning about the human body and stuff and how it works and stuff and diseases, and that's what I enjoyed about it. So let me rephrase that.
Okay.
But it was, I could never do it for the rest of my life. I could never do it again. I couldn't. So I'm like, you know what? Packed up, and my parents moved to Khobar at the time from Tabuk. So I moved. I spent 6 months there. I'm like figuring out my shit, but obviously I wasn't figuring out shit. I was just chilling, you know. And then I started realizing that I had to start picking a career path because we're Arabs, right? And we're in the Arab blood in us. We got to do that. So I'm like, you know what?
That's funny that you because from French to Arab now,
switches.
switches that ideology,
It
that
does.
identity
And
switches.
the thing is that it does switch, and then,
But only negatively. It never switches positively.
No,
At least for me, I've never like I always think of like the to encompass it, you know, the thing.
I mean, I get what you mean, but look, I mean, they both have their positives and negatives, I guess. Let's look at it. Let's give a diplomatic answer then.
No, it's not about that. I think because in my head, like you know, the typical thing, Arab being lazy, German being like perfectionist, right?
Yeah, that's true, right?
Right, and so like that old joke.
You have that in you, the perfectionist in you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm perfectly lazy. That's how sometimes I want to see it.
I love that.
But I can't. Like, it always has to switch. That persona or that identity always has to switch to the more extreme one. So I cannot be lazy. I have to be
super lazy.
I have to be like
or super lazy.
super lazy. No, I have to be like super precise, and I have to like if I do something, I have to do it like perfect.
Yeah, I get you.
So there isn't like this.
I get what you mean. I completely get it, and it's difficult though.
It's interesting.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's weird how we pick or choose what characteristics we want in our identify.
I'm Arab
us.
right now, you know, and then it's like this, bonjour. but yeah, I mean, so when I picked the career path, I was picking. I think I decided I'm going to be an architect, right? I'm like that was the next choice down the thing. I'm like, I'm going to become an architect, and I think I got into school. I got into Malaysia. I got into school in Malaysia. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm going to go obviously to Malaysia, and but I want to pass by Egypt because fuck knows when I'm ever going to Egypt again to see my friends because you know, super tight. And so I flew to Egypt, met a girl, and my best friend had applied to a school for me over there, right? A school of architecture.
Okay.
And I got in. Pick up the phone.
In Egypt.
In Egypt. So there was no intention of staying in Egypt, but obviously I met a girl, and there was I got into school, which was architecture. I'm like, you know what, Dad, I'm staying. He's like, just get through school, please. That was all he said.
What age were you at that point?
So I got into med school at 17. I was 18.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
18 and a half.
What?
Yeah, I got into 17.
How did you finish high school before?
I skipped a year.
You mean you skipped a year? Okay, that makes now a little bit more sense. Because there's some universities that won't even let you join until you're fucking 18.
Yeah. No, I skipped a year, and I was always a year behind my colleagues. And
a year behind? You mean a year ahead? Or age-wise? Age-wise, a year behind. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean
okay.
So all my friends now are the ones of those years, right?
Yeah, they're all a year older than you.
They're all older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, got into architecture, met a girl, didn't go well. Then I think it was like 3 months later, met Dina, my wife, and went through school. And then finished architecture.
Okay.
But what's funny enough is that because Dina was already I was in med school, right? And then I I felt behind. My friends were all graduating already, and they were in 3-year programs, 4-year programs. I was in fucking med school. That was 6 years, and I got into architecture, which was another 5 years. And I'm like, shit, I'm so far behind, and I was getting.
But you quit only after 1 year at med school, didn't you?
Yeah, but then I took 6 months off. I had to chill for 6 months.
Okay, the Arab side came out. I see.
It's like fuck this shit.
Yeah.
But then yeah, I thought I was so far behind, and I'm like, and Dina was almost going to graduate. I'm like, and I wanted to stay with her, and her, that's where the Arab part comes in. Like, you can't be with someone who's still in uni and stuff. And I'm like, starting applying. I'm like, what's the fastest thing I can get into and graduate quickly? Guess what it was? Aviation. So I'm like, it was a 6-month program or something in Miami. So picked up the phone. Guess what I called? Dad. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm dropping out of architecture.
You have brothers and sisters, right?
I do.
So I'm assuming
I'm the fuck up.
You're the black sheep of that situation.
Yep. 100%.
Okay.
And picked up the phone, called Dad again. I'm like, Dad, I'm dropping out of architecture, and I'm going to Miami. Basically, he's like, you're fucking not. He's like, you're gonna stay where you are, finish off architecture, and then do whatever the fuck you want. Funny story. I'm shit scared of planes.
Okay.
Today.
Okay.
Like I can't. So if I was gonna be a pilot, and I'm scared of planes.
Okay, but you don't have to fly, right? You just have to do the cockpit simulator thing.
Oh yeah, just that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but it's just hilarious how it goes full circle.
I feel like that's also, especially being an Arab in today's world, going to Miami, going to a flight school. That seems like you're here, and then there's like 3 key lists, and you're reading 2 of them right there. The only thing you're missing is going to school, being like, oh, I just want to learn how to take off and land. That's all I'm interested in.
Oh yeah.
So I think your dad fucking saved you from Guantanamo. I think
he did. Oh yeah, he did. But it's just funny how the decisions you make as a kid and where they take you today, And yeah, became an architect, and here I am today.
Okay. And how did you get to Bahrain then?
Oh, we're going there. Okay, so.
Well, I mean, you just finished.
Yeah.
You said you're in Egypt. You became an architect. So you worked as what? An architect in
I'm not working. So I graduated, and I'm like, and then. So yeah.
So don't look at me like I'm the asshole. It's like, oh, we're here now. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Okay, fine. So what happened next was that I graduated, and then I had gotten engaged to Dina. And and then I moved to France.
Okay.
I moved back there. Was working. My uncle has a business there, and I was working with him. And
as an architect or not as an architect?
As an architect. Okay. But it was more of a
gig.
Yeah. It was my uncle, right? After all. So he gave me that opportunity. Worked. And I did not enjoy it, obviously, because working with family is shit.
Isn't fucking hell? Isn't that
shit?
Isn't that?
Do not do it.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
And then I quickly realized, I'm like, fuck, I cannot do this.
You know what's also really bad?
What's that?
Working for a family business.
Haven't tried that.
That is also really, really bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I've heard a lot of stories here, especially because a lot of people here will work for family businesses.
Oh, that's not fun.
No, I can't do that. I mean,
okay,
with my uncle.
Well, your uncle, you're still his nephew, right?
I am.
Right,
but he was strict, yeah.
Sure, that's not what I'm insinuating. What I'm insinuating is that when you work for a family business, you're not related to them, right? And so it becomes like an ego thing.
I get what you mean, yeah.
It doesn't mean like, if you're right, because the numbers say so, or because of whatever thing, they're not going to accept it as much.
I get what you mean.
That's a very different animal. Okay, so sorry to interrupt you. So
No. And then, I was working there. I'm like, fuck, I can't do this. I started applying for jobs. And then I was quickly realized that, hey, I've got to get married because my fiance is in Egypt waiting for me to get an actual job, right? That she can actually move in with me. And
so why didn't you just marry her and get her the French passport?
Because it's the Arab part that comes out, right?
Okay.
Because so.
You mean you were worried that her family was going to say no unless you've given like the whole?
No, because obviously you need a flat, you need a
income,
stable income, and all that, and I'm like, fine,
but you didn't have to do the whole. What's that thing called? We have to like give like the gift to the.
What the fuck is that?
Do you not know what I'm talking about? Is like the so in case that she gets like a divorce, there has to be like money that. No.
Prenup?
No. Prenup is in case of divorce, so assets get split like at a certain way.
I get what you mean.
Because I have an Egypt friend. Mah? Is that what it's called?
No, we don't do that shit.
Because I have an Egypt friend, and he was telling me that the mah has become so large.
I don't know. I was lucky enough that.
That's what he said. He said unless you have like I think like $200,000 or $100,000. Yeah, like the dad doesn't want to like let his daughter
Holy
get
shit.
married.
No, her parents were super cool. They're super cool, but they within reason, I guess. But yeah, so I had to figure my shit out. So I started applying for jobs, and I got into I got a job offer at, well, not a job offer. It was an internship offer at Procter & Gamble, right? I'm like, holy shit, it's P&G, you know, this is huge. It was in a design thingy. So I'm like, I'm gonna go there, prove myself. I'm gonna be amazing. So it was an internship, and obviously they bring a lot of people, and then you got to do this test thingy. So it was a math test, and I'm shit at math. I am so bad. That's why I became an architect, not an actual engineer. You know, it is. I'm so bad. So I got in. The first thing was a math test. I'm like, yep, I'm not working here. You know, straight away, obviously.
And then you explain to them, I'm an architect.
Yeah, I'm an architect. I'll design shit for you. I won't fucking add shit up. But yeah, so that didn't work out well, and I realized I'm like,
you wanted to be a doctor with terrible math skills. It's also its own.
Funny enough, I didn't encounter much. Actually, no, I did.
I will not believe
physics,
that.
Physics.
I will not believe that as a doctor you didn't encounter a lot of math.
Yeah, now that I remember, yeah, I did.
Especially when it comes to dosages and all that kind of stuff. I won't
try
believe
that. Whoops. But yeah, it was. I had to. So after that, I had to. So I'm like, I had to find like a proper job. And don't get me wrong, my uncle, I was still working for him, but I wanted something that was, because I don't want my wife to fly to France because it would be difficult for her language-wise, because there's a huge language barrier, and she never lived away from her family and had to leave completely to a country that, they don't speak English or French, and trust me, the English there is shit. So I had to think,
I mean, at that point, you were still in the European Union. You could have gone anywhere in Europe.
I could have, but then at the same time, I lived away from my parents since I was probably my late 16s.
Okay.
Right? And my parents, my mom gave birth to my younger brother, and he forgot my name, and that broke my heart, right? So he's like, are you Samer? With my brother. I'm like, no, I'm Louay, He's like, oh shit, sorry, I'm like. That broke. Well,
how old is he? How old was he?
He was like a year and a half, 2 probably,
So how did it break your heart? He's a 2-year-old.
Yeah, but he's my kid brother, it's like you build that bond, it's like. So I'm like, so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, fine. So I need a place where I can see my kid brother, and that language won't be too difficult for my wife. Fuck. Okay, I guess I'm moving to Bahrain again. So packed my shit up, quit, moved to Bahrain. Dad helped me find.
Why Bahrain though? You could have also moved to Dubai.
Were here already. My parents had moved here.
Oh, your parents have moved here.
My parents had moved here as well at the time.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's an opportunity to be close to my parents as well.
Okay.
And my wife will be in a country where she can speak language and get along. So I'm like, you know what? Makes sense. Everything makes sense. So I came here, got a job, stayed for 6 months. I think I was working there for 6 months, and then I'm like, okay, this is not working. So I was working for a consultancy, so I was basically I was working as an architect, but as a consultant, so you're told basically what to do.
Who doesn't work as a consultant in Bahrain at this point, right?
Me now. So I realized quickly I wanted to be more on the client side, and then out of nowhere I got this call that my ex-boss, the one before her, and she was looking for someone to help out with a few things in the field, and I'm like, you know what, sure.
Are we still in the past or are we in present now?
We're in the past.
Okay.
So she's the one who offered me the job where I'm currently working at now.
Okay.
And I've been there ever since for the past 6 years.
Okay.
And obviously alongside Henlo. Oh, that was a history lesson.
So I still don't understand why you chose Bahrain of all places, because you could have easily moved to Dubai, where I think an architect would be much more competitive, I imagine.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even in terms of salaries, and so I mean, yes, you do end up spending a lot more over there, but
you also live a better life, though. More activities.
You know what's funny is that so what I've heard a lot about people is that once you move to Bahrain, a lot of expats don't end up leaving because they just fall in love with the place. I get it. I mean, it's small, it's cozy, it's nice. I get it. But ever since I've moved here, my social life has died. 100% died, and I've put so much focus into my app, so after I finish work, straight up, so I finish work at 4 p.m, takes me half an hour to get home, 4:30 I'm home, 5 p.m, I'm back at it, I'm back working, I mean, 5 p.m. all the way through to 11, 12 o'clock, and then you pass out, wake up, work, it's a constant routine, and on weekends, you wake up, you start working then, family day, yes, you come back to work. My life is around...
Is that the kind of life you want to live, though?
Look, I get that it's not the best life, but
yeah.
I understand that it's.
Dan, can you pass me my phone? Sorry to interrupt you.
I don't know.
Well, sorry to interrupt both of you. Oh shit! Because we had another guest at 4.
Oh no way! Oops.
Fuck. But it's been awesome having you on. Would you like to come on again?
100%. I loved it.
Yeah?
It was great conversations, great tips as well.
Well, let me make sure that he's because if he's not around, then we can chat for a little longer if you're up for it.
I'm down for it. Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean your thing is at 5, right?
It's at 5, yeah.
All right, let me make sure. Where's LinkedIn? There we go.
What's with your phone number? So
I've got 2 numbers, private and public.
So one you don't answer and one you do.
The Bahrain number? Yeah, because that's my work phone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I only look at my WhatsApp messages and stuff like that. My private number is what people reach me at, and that's what the number you have now.
The number, right?
Yeah. But I don't normally give that number out at all because I hate.
Aww.
I hate it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I've got like 3 numbers. One for henlo, one for work, and then one for my personal one. I completely get that.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
And how's that working out for you?
You juggle between devices, but it works.
You juggle between devices, so you're all using.
So I've got on my iPad. I've got a number there.
Yeah.
I got 2 on my phone. One's for work, as in my job.
Of course.
So yes, I want to go international. There's a million I can reach out to.
Okay.
A million. I have them. I have all their contacts listed down because I've reached out to so fucking many.
Okay.
It made my life hell.
Payment terminals are a disaster, by the way.
Fucking bullshit.
Isn't it crazy?
I spent not a year, 6 months probably working on fucking payment gateways.
Isn't
one guy comes up, he's like, I'm like, dude, I'm dying. He's like, oh, why don't you use these guys?
Isn't it amazing how many people shoot you down?
It's not that they shoot you down. It's just that first of all, there's a few that are fucking rude. They're just fucking rude bunch of cunts, you know? You're like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? It's like, fuck you, you know? And
what, because they want to have like a minimum spend? They don't want to like...
Yeah, there's minimum spend. And, you know, it's like, but you're so restricted to the people here that serve in Bahrain, you know? You can't do that shit. So, you know, I end up going to the US and stuff, and there's Stripe over there, but then Stripe don't accept Bahrain dinar, and then you can't use split payments, because that's the way I take payments, right? So I have split payments so that I'm the pet owner, carer, henlo, payments straight away, just split out right away.
Because you're taking a commission of what, 5%?
I take commission. I take, depends on the service. So, for example, for dog walking and pet boarding, I take 20%.
Okay.
And then for veterinary and grooming, it ranges between 8 to 20%.
We didn't even mention, what are your price lists at the moment? How do you work that out?
So so I started off first with the fact that I checked out locals, local vets, local clinics, sorry.
Okay.
And, local kennels and what their prices are at.
Okay.
And straight away I just dropped off a couple of dinars because I want to be competitive to start with. So I charge 7.5 per night. Okay. For a dog walk. I take 20% cut from that. And that cut is not just because I want to put it in my pockets, because that's what we use to run the company, basically. So whatever revenue we make, we just gotta use that.
Well, that's what it sucks, right?
Yeah.
The constant
it is what it is, because some people don't understand. They're like, why the fuck are you taking a cut? You know, why are you taking a cut of the booking? And you gotta explain to them that. I mean, it's even the app. You know, you gotta put like a kind of that question mark icon where they say what's henlo's service fee. You gotta explain like this is the fee that we use for blah 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 blah.
So have you thought about doing a subscription model and then giving a discount for the commission?
It gets funny. It gets really cool right now. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing because we're working on a complete redevelopment of the app right now.
Sure.
Complete, and no one knows that actually. But so we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I'm reworking that. So I'm reworking about, you know what? I see a lot of people coming up and they're like, because a lot of copycats came, you know. That they came out as soon as I launched copycats. You know, the copiers want to copy. So
a lot of copycats that came on the market. Wait, what?
So it's really cool. Okay, this story.
In the Middle East, you mean?
In the Middle East? No, in Bahrain.
In Bahrain. So
I launched an app, and this is a really funny story. So I launched, and I got someone that reached out to me, and they're like, Louay, they reached out on henlo support WhatsApp group, and they're like, I want to speak to the owner. I'm like, well, there's only me, so you basically are speaking to the owner, but I have to be professional. I'm like, yes, you know, Louay is speaking here. And
let me find him.
Where is Louay? You know, I'm like, fuck, I'm right here. And I reach out to her and I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, how can I help you? And she's like, I love what you do. I love pets. I have a pet myself, and I would love to work for you. Okay. I'm like, I mean, we're just a startup. We just launched. We can't afford that you work for us. But the best I can do to help you, because I want to help people out. You know, I'm like, I can offer you an internship if you're interested. In the marketing field. And she's like, anything will do. I'm like, but let me just double check with my CMO at the time. And she's like, sure. Something my gut. You know, you say the founder's gut. Always trust your founder's gut. You know, it was in pieces. I'm like, what's going on? So I reached out to the CMO at the time, and I'm like, what do you think? She's like, I don't need anyone, but if she wants to help with X, Y, Z, then so be it. So I got back to her. I'm like, listen, we're available for you. If you want to do the X, Y, Z, then that's possible. But at the moment, we can't pay anything. And then it took a time to get back to me. And I started doing some
Research.
checks on myself. I'm like, so I searched her name, and then it said mother of dog's name. So I'm like, who's that dog? I click on the dog. Because I had the same thing on mine,
And it turned out to be your wife the whole time.
Plot twist. No. So I go because I have the same thing on my Instagram. My dogs are it just has a marketing team. It's like founders of Henlo. So I go, I check. I'm like, and then I see dog is the founder of a company name.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is getting
strange.
Really interesting. So I click on that company name. I see it's a pet service app that's in the making, and I'm like, oh. So I'm like, hang on, pick up my phone. I'm like, I love what you got going on with XYZ. And she's like,
oh,
dot. This was actually through a phone call. I'm like, and she stuttered. She started stuttering. And I'm like, if you guys want to ever collaborate, be my guest, please let me know. And that's all I said. And she's like, yeah, we'll have to see. I'll get back to you. I was just going through the WhatsApp messages the other day because I was scrolling through them. And she said, and she came to me, she's like, we'll be happy to meet wherever you want, but please sign this NDA. I'm like, honey, I'm not signing shit. I'm not signing shit. You want to collaborate? By all means. You don't? No, there's a door. And it was just crazy how you saw someone come to you and, basically want to come in and just copy the way
I love the idea of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do corporate espionage.
What the fuck? Seriously, I couldn't believe it. And then they started trying to compete with us, and luckily we were already established and launched at the time, and they shut down at the moment. So it just shows you karma's a bitch, It's I swear to you, I would be more than happy to help if someone came to me and was like, I want to start a pet sitting app, I want to start a pet care app. And then I'm like, so I was saying, it's like, if she came to me and she was like, Louay, I'm trying to start a pet business, I need some advice. I swear to you, I would help. You know
what? First, let me say something. I have had, I don't know how many entrepreneurs now sitting in your seat, and I hear a regurgitation of the same message. And it's community, not profit focus, building a larger network. These are the key words that I keep hearing, and I think the reason I hear it. First, originally I thought, oh, it was aspirational. It was just the Middle Eastern culture. It was our culture, and now I think more and more it's
the entire startup community.
I think what it is because more here in Bahrain, I think than anywhere else, we don't have a lot of social connections. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs use their business rather than a profit center, but as a social connection hub, like to make friends and to build a community. And I think that's also the same, because if I was in your position, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Collaborate with this person. Why would you want to invite the fox into the hen's nest? Get out of here.
No, I get what you mean. But the thing is that, cause I'm trying to I was trying to prove a point that, if you want help, I'm here to help. I swear I would help. Because I've been through shit, and I know it. Look, I believe in karma.
Sure, but that's not karma, though.
No, it is. I'm still helping someone. If someone comes to me and says, like, I need help with, I want to build an app.
Yeah.
Tell me how to do it, or a pet care app. What to work out for? I'll tell them.
But that's the same as saying, oh yeah, sure, I'll help you steal my car.
It's not. I get what you mean. But look, at the end of the day,
let me teach you how to be.
When you buy a. When you say you are on the market for a supercar,
right? let me give you a different example. Actually, I learned this the hard way with my ex, and I learned never make yourself redundant.
Right.
Meaning that when I went,
don't shit where you eat.
Meaning when my at the time girlfriend, she was doing her doctorate in the U.S. In contemporary Asian art.
Oh, interesting.
And I went there, I set up the whole apartment, I paid for everything, I made sure everything was like taken care of, everything else like that. Hindsight, now that I think about it.
I get what you mean. I get it.
That's not good karma. You just made yourself redundant.
I get it. But the thing is that I get it. I get what you mean. But I don't know. I was actually, at the time, I was going to be happy to help, I'm still, if someone has an app idea, they want ideas, it's like, I mean, if that guy that didn't help me come to me and say, like, here's the payment gateway to take a look at, I would still not have a payment gateway today.
Yeah, that's not the same thing, though.
But I get what you mean, but it's just that, again, I'm going to go back to that supercar thing I was trying to tell you. It's like, say you're in the market for a supercar, right?
Sure.
You see a Bugatti outside, right? Like, I want a fucking Bugatti, right? Or Bugatti spoke to someone, right? They asked how to make a car, and they created something similar, same price range. Cool.
Okay.
Would you go for the Bugatti or for the
Bugatti
car that just came out? Then why?
A brand.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's all about building that brand.
Okay.
So if I'm not good enough to build a brand,
okay,
I'm not good enough.
But you're assuming that they'll do it at the same expense. You're also, I mean, you're making a lot of assumptions on that.
I get what you mean.
That her resources wasn't greater than yours, that she didn't have enough wasta to make sure that things would work out for her.
I know what you mean.
But I'd love to hear where you're heading with the business, though.
For sure. So we're in the process now of raising our next round.
Okay.
Of pre-seed funding that will help us.
Okay, and how much are you looking for?
So at the moment, we're looking for $100,000.
Okay.
We're looking for $100,000.
So where are you heading? Where are we going? So you wanted 100K.
So we're looking for 100K, and that's going to help.
That's not aiming for the skies, but okay.
No. I mean, I'm being reasonable to start with because I know what I want to do, and I know.
And how much equity is at stake?
We're looking for 10%.
Okay.
So
you're willing to sell 10% for 100K?
That's true.
Okay.
And then we're looking to have our app developed on cross-platform. We're looking to start expanding into the various different markets, because the thing is now at the moment is that we're only on iOS, and we see the potential that we've got to date, and we can only imagine, because there's another 60% that's going to be just increase in users if we just get onto Android. And
I think you shouldn't focus so much on Android. I think for the short term, you should just focus on the app that you have, perfect it, and then do it for the Android as well.
Because the thing is at the moment is that the app that we have in place is that it's not scalable. I'm telling you, when I got it, I got screwed, right? So I made what I have and kind of treated it as an MVP. Although it's not an MVP, it is a kind of not full blown, but it's kind of full app, and it functions okay, but it's not ready to scale. So I can end up having, so say for example, I launch in Saudi, for example, I end up getting 10,000 users or something at more. It could just start crashing, And I want to make sure that, because what I did is when I launched in Dubai.
But you don't have to. I mean, if you launch it in Saudi Arabia, you don't have to launch it at all of Saudi Arabia.
No, I'm saying, like, say for example, in Khuba, for example.
Exactly,
it's
right?
much bigger than Bahrain.
Yeah, but only like 3 million. It's only 3 times the size.
Only. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you don't have 1 million users on your platform,
no,
right?
For
so
sure.
You're not going to get 3 million users.
The thing is what I want to make sure is that, look, again, might be the perfectionist in me, is that I don't want to launch with because, again, when I launched in Dubai, right? So I launched there, and I think I was there for like a week, basically, before my payment gateway fucked me over, but without informing me. But that was really well. Okay, it went up, but I ended up with an issue because I didn't realize the scale. You're in Bahrain, right? You live here. You don't realize the scale of when you go to Dubai, for example, and how big it is over there. It's huge. And so I would end up having users that end up making a booking, and the way I had it at the time was that it's like, for example, you can't start a service unless with 30 minutes before time.
Okay.
So that obviously is removed now, but. So when someone was there, to get there, it takes like 45 minutes, an hour.
And then they're cancelled on the way there, and then they got fucked.
And then it gets fucked. So you start realizing some mistakes you have, and you start fixing them, yes. But then again, you want to start making sure that I want to release it, that it's ready to scale faster, quicker. I'm ready to go. So if I take it into Khubar, I can take it into Jeddah, I can take it to Riyadh, I can take it into, like, it's not long. It's like a 4-month period, to get it done.
Okay.
So if I get that done in 4 months, I can save myself a lot of time in the future. I feel. I don't know. I might.
Okay. I think. I mean, I think you're. I'm going to say the same thing as I said to your wife, Dina. I think you should fire your marketing person. The main priority of your love of pets is that every single pet carer is scrutinized. Not in the negative way, but like security, that the
100%.
person that's showing up to pick up your dog is...
I can trust with my pet, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is the best ability that you can realistically accomplish.
Yeah.
Do you feel like 10K is a realistic sum? Do you feel like 100K, is a realistic sum? Do you feel like you want to get more? Do you think you can get less? Where?
Look, the idea is that why I want to do that is because I believe once I increase my user base and I start increasing the bookings and so forth, it'll increase the value of the company, right? And I'm going to lose... So when I come to get my next round, which will be X amount, I'm giving less of my company away.
Sure.
Because I don't want to end up in a state where I'm like, I only own like 50% of my company because I've given everything else to
Jeff Bezos owns 6% of Amazon. So that means it doesn't. That's nothing.
But not this early on.
Sure.
Not this early on.
I mean, I think I will have to look at his track record of some of these, like the bigger profile guys.
Yeah.
I think most of them, by the time they hit their first million in VC funding, I mean, you're not going to get your first million in VC funding here in the Middle East as you would get in the US.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Right. So I mean, you're getting kneecapped already.
You're gonna tell me? You're gonna tell me? Holy shit! I've been kneecapped.
What puts me off, I think, from your app is that it's not sexy enough from its appeal. Not in the pornographic sense, but like in the slickness sense, right? Yeah, I mean that is its own animal. But I think.
How do you mean?
I think it's lacked the aspect of when a VC sees something, right? It has to be eye appealing. It has to be like eye candy, right?
Right.
Like a sexy sports car, right? It has to be like a show kind of stopper, right? And I think your app is incredibly functional and very Germanly designed.
Yes.
Right?
I get what you mean.
But it's not an Italian car.
In terms of aesthetics. Yeah, I guess the UI.
Right? And you, listen, we can agree, we can disagree. It's your business, and you can. And I wish you a lot of success. But that's the only things that I see is what would hamper someone from wanting to put in more cash into it.
I get what you mean.
I'm trying to think of like it from a VC perspective, right? There's a huge market and there's huge gains to be met, right? Scott Galloway always talks about the three characteristics: differentiation, relevance, and environment. Meaning, how differentiated are you to your competitors, right? How relevant is it to the customer? And how easy is it for a substitute to come in and copy your design?
100%.
Right? So what you're very fortunate for is that you're building a good relationship with the caretakers. So that makes it very harder to copy. That's why it's so easy to copy Uber.
You can never have their drivers.
But it's very hard to copy Airbnb.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because once that homeowner is locked into the Airbnb, it'll be very difficult to get him to switch again.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I'm
You know what gives an advantage as well from which I'm trying to do now is take advantage of everything, is that I'm the first of its kind in the MENA region.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So that gives me the opportunity and the upper hand
Sure.
to start acquiring that market first.
Sure.
And
you have the cream of the crop for now, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'll not say I don't want competition. I do want competition because like I said, lights a different fire in you. But the idea is that you know, with you know, it's like when you start to acquire that market first and you start to build that user base first, you know, you're obviously going to start growing. It's growth. It's all about growth, I think. And
no, I get what you're saying, but I don't know how viable it is in the long term to keep a percentage rate of 20%. I think as new competitors will enter that market, they're going to attack that aspect of it as quickly as possible. And I think that your concern about being profitable rather than being focused on growth might be really damaging.
It's vice versa, actually. I'm not looking at
profitability. You're looking at purely a growth perspective.
100% growth.
Okay. You'd have to talk to the bank, and I don't know what your earnings are yearly, annually, but you'd have to talk to a business bank focus and see what kind of.
See what we can do for it. Yeah, I mean, it's worth checking out. I mean, because over here, I'm not. Yeah. So I'm just thinking, it's worth checking out.
I mean, again, after this conversation, I mean, I like your business. I really do. I know some VCs from Riyadh and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And I'll forward your stuff.
That'd be amazing.
And yeah, I mean, this is just I'll ask them the same question because Saudi Arabia obviously is different than the US, so maybe they have a different opinion when it comes to like debt and what they're looking for at a firm. I think most of them are looking at for acquisition rate, especially if it's an online business, which obviously yours are. So customer acquisition rate, your current spending usually, and where that spending is hitting to, and what your perceived returns are over the next year to 5 years. And right. I think
that's usually the information they all ask, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're more interested in growth usually than earnings, and they like seeing double-digit growth.
You know what's crazy?
Sure.
Is that in the last 4 months or something, I have not sponsored a single ad.
I can see.
And
no.
And what's crazy is that it's all by word of mouth. And I've not had as many transactions go through my app as I have when I was not sponsoring.
I hear where you're coming from. Your customer acquisition rate is going to be capped though eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There is only so many dog owners, and there's only so many people who are willing to do the service or hire a service to do it, right? And I think that it would be more beneficial for you if you could somehow do the cost, especially the dog walking or dog caring part, as almost like a fee base, as such as like with a business model similar to Uber. So certain times as a premium.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't checked out your app personally, to be honest with you.
You haven't?
No. This
Really?
is just from what I understood from you and what I understood from people I've spoken to.
You gotta check it out.
All right. Well, here we go. Yeah, this definitely needs fixing. The first thing I say.
So sweet.
Sorry.
So sweet.
Sorry. So the first thing I would say is I wouldn't use it like through like 4 sections here. I would actually put pictures. Right? Not like right or like that. It's more like.
Get what you mean?
Right? And so I think that'll be a bit of a better experience because your automatic assumption is that all users are proficient in English, which you have a lot of Arabs obviously who
right
aren't. Okay, so pet booking. I think this also needs a little rework.
Yeah, that's being reworked.
I think maybe a map with the geolocation.
That used to be it.
And that didn't work?
It didn't work.
Really?
So it was very much like how Uber is.
Okay.
Like.
Sure.
Because it was really cool. I mean, the idea I had in my head at the time
Sure.
was really cool, and that was that.
Sorry, I'm just giving you critique.
No,
of your
not
things.
at all. Look, if anything, I love advice. Not advice. I love.
Sorry, it's unsolicited.
I love. What's the word? Feedback. That's the word. Where is it?
Oh, I see what could happen because somebody might book a dog walking when they're not at home. And if you don't mind me asking, why don't you, by the way, offer some sort of like 20%, or even like, let's say because you're offering 20% of your commission, right? Right. I would, if you don't mind me saying so, take the top 5 top earners on your platform, offer them a discount of somewhere between 10 to 15 or even 20% if they start posting content on their social media profiles and customer reviews, saying like stuff like, "Oh, I love walking Jimbo, whatever the dog's name is," right? Because right now, if I look at your website, I see your content, I don't know anything. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, who is this person who's going to pick up my dog, right? But if you're getting like feedback.
If I get carers kind of putting their face out
there, and also you're getting from the customer a review saying like, oh, you know what, Jimbo, I don't know a dog's name, whatever, really likes,
Jimbo's good,
likes this dog walker, and he always has a great time, blah blah blah. That doesn't take any effort on your part. That only takes a little financial incentive, but your growth factor is going to be massive.
100%. I completely agree with you, and that's something. Those are part of the features that you start realizing that you don't have in the app that end up. You have to hard code in, which again end up having to get your developers to code in, which costs money. And
you don't have to code that in because you can just contact the top earners on because you should be seeing on your finances who your top earners are, and then contact them on the email and being like, hey, you know what, we selected you as one of the few who wanted to enter our beta program was influencers or whatever, and we would like you to do stories or posts and blah 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 blah.
I like that idea.
And that way you can multiply your growth by a factor of like 100x, if not more. And then the same with the customers. You can actually message them like a person who uses the app a lot.
Yeah.
And then talk to them and be like, hey, you know what? I noticed you use our app a lot, blah, blah, blah. What kind of features could we improve? Blah, 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 blah. You love feedback, as you mentioned, right?
No, I do that. That happens already.
All right. So then ask them, hey, you know what? We wanted to do like a short story, maybe about you, maybe about your life. Do some content, talk to them about the app and how it helps their life.
You know what's the problem is that in the States and Europe, that would be very easy. But over here, a lot of people are not very camera friendly.
Sure.
For some businesses, right?
Sure.
So that makes it a bit difficult getting the customer. I mean, the carriers, yes, they would.
Sure.
I see them do that. We've had a couple,
sure.
in some comments, but the pet owners that's the difficult part is getting them to. Be willing to, hey, blah, blah, blah.
Lie.
Right.
Hire an actor.
I guess I'm too
marketing. I mean, come on. What is that for a statement? Oh, people that want to be on camera. Well, fuck those people then. Then hire someone who likes being on camera, and then you're done. How much is an actor going to cost you for an hour worth of work?
I never thought of that.
I mean, like that's how I would operate to because again, like looking at your site and looking at the process you've made, you've come really far considering the resources you had available to you, and considering you don't have a business degree, you didn't really have anyone else who could really help you with, and you worked almost totally by word of mouth. So what you've achieved is amazing,
right?
And I think that if you just like focus on some key things, like getting customer like feedbacks on reviews and stuff like that, getting them video of them doing like essays. Why isn't like a post at least like once a week on your Instagram or once every 3 days, a story about how that dog app, that henlo, has helped that person?
Yeah, I'm gonna take some.
Well, you don't have to. I'm sorry that I'm forcing this on you.
No, because this is.
Normally people pay me for the service, so.
What kind of service?
I don't do gay shit. Sorry, son.
I'm not interested. Trust me. I'm just taking notes.
Do what you like, buddy. But yeah, so I don't know. I think you've got something here. I think that my concerning factor for you is obviously Bahrain is this weird place where they put
Tiny
things.
market.
No,
It's tiny market.
not just tiny market, but it also puts things on. It puts things in front of your path.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Bahrain is not like the kind of place where it helps you maximize your abilities and your success.
I get it. I completely get it. And it's been very, very, it's very difficult. It's not easy, you know. And that's the part where I want to go in. Like I do want to go in full time to it, you know. That's I think it'll be very different, obviously, if you put in, instead of 12 hours, bring in 18 hours, you know?
But I think, you know, you can only put in X amount of time because the company is only as good as the people that work in it.
Right.
This podcast wouldn't be as good if it was just me. If I didn't have Dan and Murray right there, this would be a shit show.
Right. Would it?
Who would load out these videos?
Yeah, fair enough.
Who would be switching these cameras?
Yeah.
Right. So you need to have that kind of stuff. And if you can find yourself the necessary budget, and if you can just hire someone to do your email lists, stuff like that, who will just contact new customers. Imagine if you can just hire someone for just messaging people on Instagram, potential clients. That just goes like hashtag dog Bahrain and just messages every single one of these profiles and being like, hey, you know, congratulations, you've been selected for a coupon for your first dog walking for free or something like that. That's how you're gonna like reach a massive audience. And that's and then you have your SEO stuff. Sorry.
No, why are you sorry? It's just it's feedback.
I just feel like I'm lecturing people at times.
No, it's good. I mean, I love, again, like I said before, I love hearing feedback because as a founder, you don't always, you're so used to what you're seeing, right? So you get blinded sometimes, and it's good to have someone from the outside come and be like, oh, I see this, that.
I think it's not just that. I mean, it's because I can talk to you as also from a business owner, both as a podcaster and as from owning a textiles and factories and stuff like that. You easily get like locked into the founder's vision. Like, I want to do it this way, and this is the right way.
Right.
And you kind of don't see the other possibilities of doing something a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then what's really hard is finding someone who can be like, yo, Hamid, you know.
I'll go for it.
Yo, Hamid, you need to open your eyes, you know, kick yourself in the ass, you know.
And that's what's good about this, is because you come up with you're like, oh, why are you doing this and that? That you start questioning things, and you're like, oh, you know, shit, why didn't I think about that, you know? And that's a good thing.
But it's a risky line, right? Because if you do it too much, especially to somebody, then they feel like overloaded, and then they kind of like put themselves then into question. Right? So there's a fine line.
There is a fine line, but then again, me as a founder, I have to come and listen to you, and I have to take in, like, with all the respect.
You don't have to listen to me.
Exactly. If I didn't want to, I didn't have to. But then if there's things that you said that I think are beneficial, I will take those and then use those. You know, if I don't, I'll be like, yeah, this I can park on the side, but this I think is good. You start picking and taking, right?
Well, from my perspective, I like it when I have a guest back on, be it you, be it Dina, be it Abdul, be it what was the other guy from Kanu? Jamil? be it Jamil. I love when I have somebody on again in like 3 months, 6 months, whatever the time frame, and they go, oh, you know what? We were here and we did X, Y, and Z, regardless of whether it was my advice or not,
Right.
and now we're here.
No,
Right? Seeing someone's
nice to see. It's
success.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing watching someone succeed. I mean, at one time we both, you never had this podcast. I never had a company. You know, it's like it's growth, right? And that's what's nice to see. You like to see someone grow from from what they were initially to what they can, what their potential is. You know.
Well, how much would you have to be earning from? How much growth would you need at your company for you to be like, I'm going to do this full time? You're already what, 1,600, 1,400, 1,200 users, right?
1,600.
1,600.
1,700, yeah.
Okay. So what number is that in your head for you to be like, listen, this is secure. I'm going to switch over to this.
I don't know.
I can't answer that question for you.
No, I'm not asking you that. I'm just saying, it's like the way. For me to start looking at it into, okay, when can I go full time, is that when I start seeing more bookings per day. It's not about the number of users, it's about the number of bookings a day.
Sure.
So, if I can start seeing like 20, 30 bookings a day, which is not much, you start realizing that, yes, okay, fine, this is picking up. And then, using that to kind of, because what happened now is that you're injecting, so yes, you make a salary, right? And then you use that to kind of, you have a
fund the company.
Other than that, you have a family to run, you have you have other obligations. So you're left with kind of, not so much to kind of inject into the company. So you're stuck with minimal amount that you start injecting into the company. Instead of going out, you're like, you know what, fuck going out. I'll just rather inject this into the company.
Sure.
And there's so much you can do.
Well, you're in Bahrain. What is there to go out? I mean, come on. What are you talking about?
Yes, but it just puts you in that, because there's only so much you can inject again, right? And I've injected quite a bit. Like, I want to say that, and it's just a matter of, yes, you want to see, like right now, you see that smile on my face because what was initially one booking every 2 weeks, believe it or not, is now 3-4 bookings a day, and that's, again, I want to come back to the fact that zero marketing, right?
No, I agree, but don't forget, buddy, that your customer acquisition is what's driving your daily bookings, right? Because you're not going to be able to activate that 1,700, sorry.
1,700.
It's 1,700, my mistake. I keep forgetting that number for some reason. But you're not going to be able to activate that 1,700 at your current capacity. You don't have the staff necessary, you don't have the marketing tools, you don't have the leeway in price that you can then activate that remaining. So what is your other option? Your other option is then customer acquisition, right? And the more acquisition you occur, the more likelihood of somebody then taking a gig, right?
Right.
And so what is like your probability per customer to transition to per user subscription to customer? Like 0 point something, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so the only way to match that is to continuously increase it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I completely agree. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not proud of the fact that we're not marketing. Yes, I believe.
No. It's not even marketing.
We should, but it's again, the customer acquisition is extremely important. Like you say, it's like getting those customers on board. And obviously to get them on board is through marketing. Right?
Because you're not seeing the bigger picture. I believe. Sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth or misintending you, misinterpreting you. Because you forget that if for VC, customer acquisition numbers are super important because that's a lot of data.
Right.
Email addresses, names, phone numbers, blah 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 blah. That's all marketable data. Right. So they love that shit. Mm-hmm. And so the quicker you can grow that factor, that number, the easier things will become. Same thing with your Instagram. At the moment that 1,000 whatever number it was hits to 10,000 or 5K, or you get that blue tick,
right?
A whole different world, buddy.
Oh yeah.
A whole different world. You look exhausted.
I'm not exhausted. I'm just. It's. We'll get there.
You will.
It's tough. It's tough shit.
Well, it's tough shit because you make it tough, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? You're taking too much on yourself. You're working with what you got, right? Yeah. And then you get frustrated that it's not growing fast enough, and so you're in that perpetual cycle.
Yeah.
Have you also, by the way, looked at bigger consultancy companies? Companies.
For what?
So what you can offer them is defer payments.
Okay.
So if you can go to BlackRock, you can go to Deutsche Bank also has a consultancy department. Goldman Sachs, obviously, you can go arrange a meeting with them, portray that you're a startup, portray that you're trying to gain VCs, and payment form you can offer as defer payment, meaning that they will work right now for you, and then when your capital has reached an X number, that's when they will then book. But that factor they're going to take up, obviously, is going to be a lot larger because you're deferring that payment. Right? So these are things you can do.
And that consultant is just giving you money while they're coming in as a...
It depends on which company you go with. I mean, a consultancy can do anything and everything in theory.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
Right. It could help you find potential VCs. It could help find you staff. It can help you find all kinds of stuff. You just have to find the company that suits your needs. By the way, your favorite company, Uber, worked with Tusks, which is a consultancy for legal requirements and stuff like that. So it's perfectly normal.
Interesting though. Like stuff you started picking up stuff obviously that you weren't aware of, and
because these are stuff like networking, like closed doors and stuff like that.
Because in the region you're not exposed to that kind of stuff. It's like you're more exposed to it if you're in the US and in Europe. If you were starting there, because
says the French man to me. But go on.
Pardon?
Says the French guy to me. Yeah.
but the thing is that Yani, over here you don't see that happen. You don't find like if I speak to the startups that I know. None of them would be like, "Oh, take a loan. What the fuck?" It's like to them, it's like a thing. But I do see where you're coming from because obviously I have read about the other companies that have grown internationally and globally, and same thing. But
it takes the toll out of you, the podcast, doesn't it?
And then you start seeing from them, you start picking up all those things, but you start taking it as like, oh, it's there, but then you just brush it off, right? You never really look into it. So. It is worth. Thanks for that. So definitely worth looking into.
Well, it's not just about like taking debt in order to show to VCs. Like I'm
not
serious
just
about this
debt.
stuff.
I mean,
but
it's the funniest thing is that I was looking at X company, right, and they came up with their ads were fucking amazing. They were just great ads, And I'm like, who the fuck is the media company? I was just curious, I'm like, who's doing their ads for them? It's definitely not them. I kept digging until I found them. And obviously now I forgot the name. But so what they do is that their ads cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And what they do is like, okay, fine, you know what? Don't pay us that much, but and they actually acquire part of your company to do those ads because they're so sure that's going to make so much for them, right? And you look at it, you're like, holy fuck, it's like you'd actually give X amount of equity just for. The thing is that those ads are good ads,
That's how Tusk Ventures got paid. They got an acquisition. I think it was like, I want to say they got like 7% of stock of Uber, and that's how Uber handled the payment because their monthly expense to hire them is like $40K.
Whew.
So, yeah,
crazy shit, hey.
there are avenues like that to do, and then
I guess it's just finding that right avenue for yourself, and definitely worth looking into.
I mean,
because in that case. There's so much that can happen. You get that going on, then you can realize that now I'm in a position so I can just.
But you're also not hanging out in the right circles. That's also one of your issues, right? You're not actively like joining. There's here in Bahrain there is not the entrepreneurial club. There's business association, like a membership thing where you can meet like other business owners, and they're all kind of like well-to-do people. Then there's the embassies. US and the UK have business-centered embassies, business-centered events, which is also a membership fee. I think it's like 100 BD a year or something like that. And then you get to meet like people of that nature. And I'm sure the French embassy will also do something similar to that.
I need to get some contacts off of you then.
Why me? Go to the French embassy. Be like, what are you doing for business?
Knows them. Like Hamid.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll send you the links. I'm happy to.
No, appreciate it. But yeah.
Because what happened? Do you know the British Club?
Pardon?
So it's like a club membership.
The British Club,
it's similar to that aspect where there's like a form you have to sign and you have to like fill out, and then they call you in and then you explain their business and how your business could help Bahrain and US relationship.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then if they approve of it, then you get to go in those like meetings and talks and stuff like that. So the same occurs with the French, and the same occurs with the British, and the same occurs with
I had no
everyone
idea.
else.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Anything else you'd like to mention? Anything else?
Thank you so much for your time, man. I really, really appreciate it. And,
No, my
thank you
pleasure
for
is all
having me
mine.
here.
Absolutely. I hope to have you back. And
Definitely, for sure.
yeah.
Sure.
And it's been a lot of fun, dude.